Let me tell you something, ladies. Men don't start missing you when you text them every day, when you chase them, or when you keep reminding them of your worth. They start missing you when you stop trying to prove it. See, men are hunters by nature. When everything comes easy, they stop appreciating it. But when a woman steps back, focuses on herself, and lets silence do the talking, oh, trust me, that's when a man starts realizing what he's lost. When a woman stops arguing just to be understood, when she no longer explains her worth, when she simply walks away with peace instead of anger, that peace will haunt him, because deep down, every real man knows when he's been in the presence of a woman who truly cared. A man starts missing you when you stop being available all the time, when you choose your peace over proving your point, when you build your own world so beautifully that he can feel your absence louder than your words ever spoke. Let me tell you something. Ladies, men don't start missing you when you keep showing up for them every time they call. They don't start missing you when you're always the one trying to fix things, explain things, and make them understand how much you care. A man truly starts to miss you when you stop doing all of that, when you stop overgiving, when you stop showing up every single time. That's when he feels the silence. That's when he starts realizing your presence wasn't just routine. It was rare. See, men are hunters by nature. They love the chase, the challenge, the feeling of earning something valuable. But when everything comes too easily, they stop valuing it. When you are always available, always forgiving, always trying to make it work, he begins to take that for granted. He stops noticing the effort because it's constant. But when you pull back, when you redirect that energy toward yourself instead of him, that's when he starts to see the difference. That's when he starts missing the way you made him feel. Cared for, understood, supported. Men start missing you more when you stop explaining yourself, when you don't try to make him see your worth, but instead you live like someone who already knows it. You stop trying to prove a point and instead you let your silence speak. When a woman stops arguing and chooses peace, it shakes a man. Because now he doesn't have your energy to feed off. He doesn't have your attention to comfort him. He doesn't have your messages lighting up his phone. That quiet hits him differently. A man starts to miss you when he sees that you've moved from needing him to enjoying yourself without him. When you start smiling more, laughing more, glowing more, not because of him, but because of you, he'll notice that shift. He'll start wondering if someone else is making you smile like that. But the truth is, you are finally choosing yourself. You're not waiting for him to bring you peace. You're creating it on your own. And that independence, that confidence, is what makes you unforgettable. When you stop chasing, the energy changes. The moment you stop calling, texting, and checking up on him, he begins to think. He starts to wonder what happened. He might check your social media just to see if you're still thinking about him. He'll replay your conversations in his head, realizing how much effort you gave. That's when he starts missing you, not because of guilt, but because now he feels the absence of what he took for granted. You see, a man doesn't miss a woman just because she was there. He misses the peace she brought, the warmth she carried, and the love that came without conditions. And when that's gone, when you finally stop forcing it, that's when he begins to understand what he's lost. He might not say it out loud, but deep down, he'll feel it. He'll think about you late at night, wondering why you're no longer reaching out. Men start missing you when you stop centering your life around them, when you stop waiting for their call and start answering your own purpose, when you start dressing up, going out, focusing on your dreams, and becoming that woman who doesn't need attention to feel valuable. That's when he realizes you were never ordinary. That's when your absence becomes louder than your presence ever was. So don't try to make him miss you with games or manipulation. Just pull your energy back. Focus on yourself. Because when you stop chasing and start glowing, when you stop explaining and start evolving, That's when he starts missing you. That's when he sees what he lost. A woman who was real, loving, and strong enough to walk away. Men start missing you more when you give them space to feel your absence. When you're always present, constantly checking in, replying instantly, and making sure everything's okay between you two, a man gets comfortable. He stops noticing the effort because it becomes part of his daily routine. But the moment you pull away, not out of anger, but out of self-respect, something shifts. That distance starts to speak louder than your words ever could. It makes him realize how much of his comfort came from your consistency, from knowing you'd always be there. When you create distance, you create value. It's human nature to miss what's no longer easily available. A man might not appreciate your presence while he has it, but once that energy is gone, once that affection isn't freely given, he begins to notice the emptiness. That's when memories come back stronger. Your laughter, your patience, your warmth, the way you made him feel safe. When you pull your attention back, he's forced to sit with himself and think about what life felt like when you were there versus how it feels now. And that difference hits deep. See, sometimes a woman doesn't need to say anything at all. The silence becomes her statement. When you stop calling first, when you don't text good morning or good night, when you stop checking his social media, that's when he starts to wonder what happened. He'll check his phone expecting your message, and when it doesn't come, confusion turns into curiosity, and curiosity turns into longing. He starts to realize that your presence wasn't just attention, it was genuine care. Distance doesn't mean disappearing completely. It means creating emotional space, a boundary that reminds him your world doesn't revolve around him. You start focusing on yourself again, spending time doing things that bring you joy. You invest that energy into your goals, your peace, your growth. And as you do that, something powerful happens. Your energy changes. You become lighter, more focused, and that glow becomes magnetic. He can feel that change even if you don't speak. When a woman reclaims her time and energy, it unsettles a man who was used to having it easily. He starts thinking about the last time you laughed together, the way you supported him when no one else did. He starts missing the little things, your texts, your attention, your energy. That's when he realizes how much space you occupied in his life. The absence creates appreciation, and appreciation turns into missing you. The truth is distance tests everything. If he truly cares, he'll come closer. If he doesn't, your silence will reveal it. But either way, you win. Because in that distance, you regain clarity. You stop overgiving. You stop waiting for validation. You start to see your own worth without needing someone to recognize it first. And ironically, that's what draws him back. That self-assurance, that quiet confidence, that peace he can't find anywhere else. Men often realize a woman's value too late because they confuse availability with permanence. They think you'll always be there until one day you stop being so reachable, so predictable, so giving, and suddenly they feel the void. They feel the loss of that daily comfort. They start to miss you not because they're lonely, but because they now see the difference between having someone real and losing her. That distance you create isn't punishment. It's power. It's the space that allows him to feel what it's like without you. It's the moment he begins to respect your boundaries, your strength, your independence. Because when you give a man space to feel your absence, you also give him the chance to remember your value. And that's when he starts missing you more than ever. Men start missing you more when you stop trying to prove your worth to them. When you no longer beg to be understood. When you stop explaining what you bring to the table. And when you stop trying to make them see what you already know about yourself. That's when they begin to notice. Because there's something powerful about a woman who doesn't fight to be seen. Her silence, her calm, her ability to let go speaks volumes. A man starts to feel that quiet space where your voice used to be, where your energy used to pour into him. And that's when it hits him that you were never just another woman. You were the piece he didn't know he needed until it was gone. When you stop over-explaining, you take your power back. You stop feeding energy into confusion and start giving it to yourself. You begin to understand that real love doesn't need to be forced or justified. It simply flows. Men often get comfortable when they know a woman will always be there to explain herself, to fix things, to make peace after every misunderstanding. But when that stops, when you stop chasing clarity and instead choose calmness, that's when they start feeling the void. That silence becomes heavy. The energy shifts. He starts missing the emotional safety you gave without even realizing it before. A man starts missing you when he can no longer feel your emotional presence. You used to be the one checking up, making sure he was okay, supporting him through his worst days. You gave him reassurance, stability, and warmth. But when that stops, when you withdraw that emotional investment and turn it toward yourself, he feels it deeply. He might not say it out loud, but he starts to replay the moments when you cared, when you stayed, when you showed love even when he didn't deserve it. And now that it's gone, he starts to see the value in what he took for granted. Sometimes the most powerful thing a woman can do is simply stop responding with effort. Stop trying to convince a man that you matter. Stop repeating yourself to someone who doesn't listen. Because when you go silent, when you stop trying to explain your emotions and instead show through action that you've moved on, that's when the message lands. That's when he realizes how much your presence meant. That's when missing you becomes his new reality. When you stop explaining, you also stop giving him control. You shift your focus inward. You start nurturing your own peace, building your own dreams, loving yourself the way you always wanted him to. You learn that not everyone deserves access to your energy. And as you grow quieter, more confident, and more focused, you become magnetic. That's when a man starts to notice, not because you're trying to be noticed, but because your energy has changed. You've stopped chasing, and now your absence speaks for you. Men miss peace. They miss the woman who didn't demand attention, but gave love effortlessly. They miss the emotional stability she provided. And when she stops trying to make them see her worth, that's when they start seeing it on their own. The silence becomes powerful. It forces reflection. It makes them realize that not every woman will love that deeply. Not every woman will stand by them through their flaws. A man will start to miss you the moment you stop fighting for his understanding. Because when you stop trying to explain, you create space for him to realize what he lost. You show him that your worth doesn't depend on his recognition. That confidence, that calm energy, that quiet strength, that's what stays on his mind long after you've walked away. It's not your words he remembers. It's your peace, your presence, and the fact that you didn't need to prove anything to be valuable. Men start missing you more when you stop being so available all the time. When you stop rearranging your whole life just to fit into his schedule. When you stop answering his calls the second they come through. When you stop waiting by the phone hoping he'll think of you. That's when things begin to change. A man gets used to easy access. And when something is easy, he stops valuing it. But when your energy starts shifting toward yourself, when you become harder to reach, not because you're playing games, because you're genuinely busy building your own life, he begins to notice the difference. He starts to realize that your time, your attention, and your presence were never guaranteed. They were privileges. When a woman steps back and focuses on herself, something about her energy becomes magnetic. She's not sitting around waiting for a text. She's living, glowing, and moving forward. And when that happens, the man who used to take her presence for granted starts to feel her absence in everything. He'll scroll through old conversations, remember your voice, your laughter, your consistency, and it'll hit him how different things feel without you there. That's when he starts to miss you. Not because you're gone, but because he finally understands what you brought into his life. Being less available doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you start prioritizing. You start giving your energy to people and things that also pour into you. You stop showing up for someone who doesn't reciprocate the effort. You stop explaining why you're pulling away, because real peace doesn't need explanation. It's simply a decision, a choice to value your own time as much as you valued theirs. And that's something every man eventually respects, even if he doesn't admit it right away. A man starts missing you when he realizes that you no longer depend on him for happiness. When he sees you thriving, smiling, glowing on your own, it challenges his ego. He starts to wonder how you moved on so effortlessly, how you found peace without closure, and how you stopped needing him. But what he doesn't realize is that your peace didn't come overnight. It came from finally choosing yourself. You learned to be your own source of joy. And that kind of independence is unforgettable. When you stop being constantly available, you also stop feeding the dynamic where he's in control. You reclaim your power. You remind him that you have your own life, your own priorities, your own goals. And when he can no longer reach you whenever he wants, that uncertainty makes him reflect. He starts thinking about the moments when you always answered, when you always showed up. And that memory starts to haunt him, because now he has to face what it feels like to not have you there. Sometimes it's not what you say, but what you stop giving that teaches the lesson. When you stop overextending yourself, when you stop saying yes to every last-minute plan, when you no longer drop everything just to make him happy, he begins to see the strength he overlooked. He starts missing your warmth, your effort, your availability. He starts realizing that no one else gives him that same feeling. That's when your absence becomes louder than your presence ever was. Men start missing women who know how to detach gracefully. You don't need to argue. You don't need to prove your worth. You don't need to announce that you're moving differently. Just do it. Just shift your focus. Because when you stop making yourself available for someone who doesn't value your time, you show them that your presence was never something to take lightly. You were the peace, the consistency, and the comfort. And once you pull that away, it leaves a void that no one else can fill. That's when he finally understands what he lost, the woman who gave him everything until she decided to give that energy back to herself. Men start missing you more when you stop chasing and start attracting. When you stop putting all your energy into trying to make someone stay, when you stop begging for attention, when you stop seeking validation from a man, that's when everything changes. Because there's nothing more powerful, nothing more captivating than a woman who knows her worth and refuses to chase what's not choosing her. You can love someone deeply, but when you finally realize that love shouldn't mean losing yourself, you take your power back. That shift in energy is what makes a man look twice, think harder, and miss you deeper than ever before. When you chase a man, you teach him that he doesn't have to show up. You teach him that no matter what he does, you'll always be there waiting. And the truth is, no man values what he doesn't have to earn. But when you stop chasing and start focusing on yourself, when you start walking with confidence, when you start becoming the kind of woman who moves with peace instead of desperation, that's when he starts to feel it. He starts noticing that the energy that once revolved around him is no longer his to enjoy. That's when he starts missing the love that felt effortless and unconditional. When you focus on attracting, not chasing, everything about you changes. Your voice becomes calmer, your energy becomes lighter, your actions become more intentional. You stop overthinking his silence because you're too busy building your peace. You stop checking his phone activity because you're focused on your goals. And when that happens, the dynamic flips. The one who once took you for granted starts wondering what's changed. He starts missing the attention you used to give so freely. He starts feeling the loss of that love you no longer pour into him. A man starts missing you when your world no longer revolves around him. When he's no longer the center of your day, when he sees you glowing, happy, peaceful. without needing him. That shakes him. Because most men aren't used to seeing a woman who can detach with grace. They expect you to fall apart when they pull away. But when you rise instead, that strength becomes unforgettable. He'll scroll through your pictures, replay your laughter in his mind, and ask himself why he didn't appreciate you when he had the chance. You stop chasing when you realize that love isn't about convincing someone to choose you. It's about choosing yourself enough to walk away when you're not valued. You stop running after half-hearted effort and start demanding emotional consistency. You stop waiting for breadcrumbs of attention and start feeding your own soul. That's when you begin to glow differently. That glow doesn't come from makeup or clothes. It comes from self-respect. It comes from knowing that your energy is precious and that not everyone deserves access to it. And that glow, that quiet confidence, is what makes a man miss you most. Men miss the woman who once gave everything, but they miss her even more when she stops giving, when they can no longer feel her presence, when they can't predict her next move, when she no longer reaches out first. That unpredictability makes them curious. It makes them remember what it felt like to be loved by you. But by then, it's too late, because once a woman learns to attract through peace rather than chase through pressure, she becomes untouchable. So when you stop chasing, you don't lose anything. You gain clarity, power, and peace. And that's when the man who didn't value you starts missing you, because he realizes that while he was busy running from your love, you were busy becoming the kind of woman every man wants but few deserve. A woman who knows her worth, moves with grace, and attracts everything she wants without ever needing to chase it. Men start missing you more when your absence begins to teach the lessons your presence never could. When you were always there, texting first, checking in, making sure he was okay, he got used to that warmth. It became his comfort zone. He assumed it would always be there because he never imagined what it would feel like without it. But the moment you pull that energy back, when you stop showing up for someone who doesn't show up for you, the silence starts to echo. Suddenly, the things he took for granted begin to stand out. The peace you brought, the laughter, the kindness, all the small moments he never paid attention to now replay in his mind over and over. When a woman walks away quietly, it's not about revenge or trying to make him suffer. It's about choosing peace. It's about realizing that your energy is too valuable to be poured into someone who doesn't appreciate it. The moment you stop trying to be understood, the moment you stop waiting for him to see your worth, that's when the real shift happens. That's when he begins to understand what he's lost. He might not admit it right away, but deep down, he feels it. Your silence becomes the mirror that reflects his mistakes back at him. Your absence forces him to think, to remember how it felt to have someone who truly cared, who stood by him, who believed in him. When that's gone, he feels the difference immediately. Other people may come around, but they don't bring that same warmth, that same sense of calm. He'll start to realize that not every woman will listen the way you did, support him the way you did, or love him with that same purity. That's when missing you becomes more than just nostalgia. It becomes regret. When you stop showing up, he starts to see the effort you used to make. He remembers how you always asked about his day, how you encouraged him when he was down, how you stayed patient through his moods. Those things that seemed small before now feel irreplaceable. And the more time passes, the clearer it becomes to him that your presence wasn't something ordinary. It was something special. He starts wondering why you stopped reaching out, why you stopped caring, why your tone changed. But the truth is, you didn't change. You just stopped giving your energy to someone who didn't value it. There's a certain power in absence. It speaks louder than words ever could. When you stop talking, when you stop explaining, when you stop trying to make things right, he's left alone with the silence. And that silence is where realization lies. It's where he starts to understand that losing you wasn't just losing a person. It was losing peace, comfort, and emotional safety. He'll try to distract himself, pretend he's fine, but that emptiness doesn't fade easily because your energy wasn't replaceable. It was rare. Sometimes the best message you can send is no message at all. When you walk away without bitterness, when you don't announce your absence, when you simply stop showing up, that's when it hits the hardest. He starts missing you in the quiet moments, when he's alone, when he's scrolling through old pictures, when a song reminds him of you. He'll realize that your absence isn't just silence, it's a reflection of everything he didn't appreciate. Men start missing you when your absence teaches them what your love truly meant. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to go back. The distance itself becomes the lesson. Because when a man finally understands that your love was rare, that your energy was healing, and that your presence made his world softer, he starts missing you not just out of longing, but out of understanding. And that's when he knows he'll never find another woman quite like you.